Hello and welcome to Insights, the podcast with your host, Joe Pane. Join me in this deep exploration of our personal journeys from ambition to meaning, where we stop living life fast and start living life deep. This is a journey of waking up and realizing that our lives have never been about us, but about others. True success leaves positive ripple effects on other souls. I believe that success needs to be redefined from our own personal ambitious endeavors to be redefined as the value that we leave and give to others around us. Join me now as we begin this journey to deeper connections, even more fulfillment, some fun, curiosity, life, love, and all good things. Your deeper journey from ambition to meaning starts right now. G'day everyone, it's Joe here. Welcome to episode 23. Thank you so much for joining me. And I also just want to thank the many of you who shared on social media the last episode on emotional hygiene. I really appreciate that. So thank you so much for your support. It's always appreciated. So what I would thought I'd focus on in this particular episode is the delicate balance of expectations and hope. And this was inspired from a conversation I had with a fellow runner, actually, a fellow who lives over in Sydney. I'm here in Melbourne, of course, and we don't speak all that often, but he gave me a call out of the blue, and this was inspired from the conversation. So thank you so much, Craig, for your contribution to this conversation today. So what I want to share with you is that, and I've shared aspects of this in previous episodes, but if unchecked, we can truly become slaves to our expectations. And I want to share with you my thoughts on this balance between expectations and hope. When expectations are not met, we can feel so much worse. And when expectations are exceeded, we feel so good. Naturally, when expectations are met, we feel good. I mean, this is one of the key ingredients of becoming emotionally fit, is having a way to manage these expectations. But what is unfamiliar at the moment is that there is what I call uncertainty about uncertainty. Like uncertainty about uncertainty. What this means is that we are uncertain what this will all mean, this whole situation, what this will all mean for us economically, financially, and personally. And this uncertainty is being carried inside a tunnel which has no definitive time point. We don't know how long this tunnel goes for. So we are experiencing uncertainty within a timeline that is uncertain. So this makes it difficult to manage our expectations of when things return to some kind of normal, where we are not so physically isolated. I was speaking with this particular friend, as I mentioned earlier. We're both runners, and I know that this is a very superficial, sort of example, but just to get the point across, guys, I tend to have a very optimistic expectation of when our running events, the marathon events and all these different running events will return. And I said to him that I believe that they'll be back later this year. And whereas he has a lower expectation and says that these running events won't return until 2021. Considering we both have really no idea, how do you manage expectations when we have this uncertainty within the uncertainty? Now, that's just talking about some running events. I mean, what about, when will our incomes return, depending on what kind of industry or what kind of job you have? When will the isolation pause? When things get back to some kind of normal, what will that even mean? How long will it take for things to get going? How long will it take for businesses to get started? Will some businesses be able to start? There's all of these questions riddled in uncertainty. And so we've got this unique situation of uncertainty laced within the whole concept of uncertainty. Now, in life, we want certainty. I mean, most Australians are addicted to certainty. And so this is quite uncomfortable for a lot of us. So the great question is, we have no idea. So how do we manage expectations when we have no idea? That is a very good question. Now, considering that expectations have so much influence on how we feel, out of control expectations can really impact our lives in both negative and also positive ways. Emotional fitness is about being aware of all the mini and macro factors which contribute to how we are feeling. Considering emotions completely blanket our entire experience of life, this awareness is key when dealing with uncertainty. This is where the delicate art of balancing expectations and hope comes in. In the context of this sharing with you, this discussion, I define hope. I define hope as having something to look forward to. I mean, if you look it up in the dictionary, there's lots of different definitions of hope. Hope is often faith-based. But for me, I'll just repeat that again, hope to me is having something to look forward to. Now, in that context, based on that definition, there are two types of hope that I define within that. There's everyday hope, which I call micro hope, and there is macro hope relating to our perspective or the bigger picture of life. Since there is so much uncertainty on what to expect over the next few months, hope is key. Hope is actually a need. We all need something to look forward to. Now, we can do this on a daily level, and we can do this on a monthly level, on a big picture level, on a life level. So what's important here is that every day, have a few little things to look forward to. Now, it's easy to say, what am I looking forward to? I'm stuck at home, and I can appreciate that. So this is now about, the micro hope that I'm talking about, having something to look forward to is linked to having an awareness of the gratitude you can bring into a moment. Looking forward to a coffee and enjoying that coffee. That's something to look forward to. Looking forward to whatever physical activity you may or may not be doing. Hopefully you are doing something physical, something that lights your spirit. I look forward to my run. I don't run every day, but most days, 4 or 5 days a week, I look forward to it. And if it's a day off, I'm looking forward to the next run. I look forward to breakfast in the morning. I look forward to communicating and recording these podcasts once a week. I have a fine glass of wine, one wine, literally, one glass, that is not one bottle, one glass of wine that I look forward to having every single day with dinner. I look forward to playing in the backyard once a day, twice a day sometimes with my sons. We've got this little soccer game going in the back and we have this little competition. It's fun. So we've got to have all these micro moments of something to look forward to. It's really, really important. Then you've got maybe weekly things that you've got to look forward to. As I shared in the last podcast, or maybe the one before that, I shared that, our weekly pizza night on Thursday night. It's phenomenal. I love it. Whatever it might be, we have to live in hope. Now, there was a quote, and I can't remember who said this. I'm going to really be sloppy with this quote because I don't remember the exact words, but just to get the point across, it was something like, humankind needs hope, right? We need to hope to love someone or something. And if we don't have someone or something to love, we need something to, look forward to, something to look forward to. And if we don't have something to look forward to, then for God's sake, give that man or that woman something to do, And this is linked to this conversation I want to have about hope, because I'll give you an example that might be a little bit ridiculous. But I actually, this morning, one of my little micro hopes, like micro within the micro, was in a weird way looking forward to collecting all there's a couple of little rubbish bins we have in our laundry. So when we've got recycle, instead of going out to the bin outside every time, we've got this little bin in the laundry, which is where we put our recycle stuff. And then we've got another bin, which is rubbish that goes into, the rubbish bin, the red bin, as they say. And so, but when the laundry gets full, it needs to be unloaded into the big bin. And I look forward to this every 2 days when that bin in the laundry gets full. I look forward to taking the bin out and putting that rubbish in the big rubbish bin. It's really weird. There's a feeling of completion about it. I don't know what it is. It's so strange. Now, we're all going to have swinging emotions. We're going to have a pendulum of emotions. I mean, even this morning I had another little mini wave of, I wouldn't say anxiety, because anxiety is a very strong term, but it was a feeling of borderline overwhelm, and I noticed that whenever I felt like that is because I was projecting myself into a future that hasn't even happened yet. And this is extending upon the conversation of our last podcast here, the last episode, where if you put too much energy, effort, time and focus into a future timeline that hasn't happened yet, where you're trying to guess what the bad things are that can happen or what's potential worst case scenarios, it takes you away from the life that you're living right now in this very day. So have something to look forward to. It is really, really important. These days at the moment, like I'm also looking forward to Zoom appointments, with clients. For those of you listening to this podcast who are coaches and running your own practice, even though there might be clients who don't have money right now, I can tell you there's many clients out there who have got money, because not everyone's affected financially by this crisis. Not everyone is affected. There are some people, I know some people, who work for large government departments who are working from home, whose salaries have not been diminished at all. In fact, they're in an even more favorable position because their salaries haven't been affected and the interest rates on their loans are dropping. So go figure. I mean, good on them, half their luck. So there are many clients out there who can pay. There are lots of clients out there who can't. And so what I've done is I've gone back to some of my clients who can't, and I've offered free group sessions on Zoom to help them with their anxiety levels. And I found that incredibly fulfilling. So there's always something that we can look forward to. And then there's the bigger picture. Like this might be a little bit obtuse, but this week I turned 50. Right? And I was going to have a series of celebrations. I was going to have a little party here at home with our families, and then I was going to have a seasonal birthday celebration by having dinners with various friends and colleagues to celebrate this 50th milestone of the age of my body, because that's all it is, the age of my body. And of course, all that's on hold. So, I'm looking forward to actually, when the day arrives, maybe I'll be 51 by the time it comes, where I can physically enjoy this. Now, by the same token, I'm going to have some kind of Zoom party, I think, with people. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do something. I'm looking forward to Zoom connecting. My wife came up with a brilliant idea the other day, a drive-by visit. So my in-laws, Silvana's parents, don't have mobile phones. They've just got their landlines. They're not into the internet. They're really old-fashioned folk. They're not that old. I mean, 72 and 82. I mean, they're oldish, but they don't have any access to internet. So the only way we can connect with them is through the good old-fashioned landline phone. So Silvana thought, why don't we go for a drive? They're home. They're not going anywhere. They don't go anywhere at the best of times, let alone in isolation. So we went for a drive. And we did a drive-by. So we rocked up to their driveway, gave them a call on their landline, told them we're at the front. They recognized social distancing, and we said, hey, come out the front, say hello. We're actually at the front in our car. We're not going to come out, obviously. We're going to wave to you from the car. We're going to put the windows and sunroof down, and we're going to have a conversation. So my sons, because our Jeep's got like a sunroof, so my sons peered through the roof and were yelling out to their grandparents, hello, how are you? And blah, blah, blah. And Silvana was having conversation at one point with her mom. I was having conversation with her dad. The boys were just hanging there. And then it was just a wonderful, whatever it was, 10, 15 minutes. That was something we created, or my wife created. I won't take any credit for that. She created off the back of her hand, just made it up. That's something to look forward to. That's hope. My parents live in the same sort of area. So then we went and did a drive-by for them. And then we went for a drive-by to my best mate's wife. So my best mate is still working in his business, and his beautiful wife and beautiful children are at home. So we did a drive-by there, and his children are very close to my children. And it was just wonderful from the drive having conversations. So how good's that? So maybe do a drive-by where you don't leave the car, and you say hello to a friend or a family member that maybe could do with a bit of a physical connection, even though you're not physical, if that makes sense. There's always something to look forward to, guys. We could take this all the way down to the microscopic level of breath, if you need to do that. But there's always something to look forward to, and I'll share an insight with you that I'm by memory, I'm pretty sure I've already shared this on previous episodes. And that is, if you find yourself doing some overwhelm, if you find yourself getting anxious again, bring yourself back to now, because right now, in this very moment, what's the problem? And I'm not being in denial. We know that there's a problem. We know that there's challenges. We know that there's a tunnel that we can't see the light yet. But right now, as you're tuning into this call, whether you're at home, whether you're walking, whether you might be driving somewhere, or whether you're sharing this with a friend or whatever, right now, in this instant, as I'm speaking. What is your problem? What is my problem? What is our problem? We don't seem to have one. So isn't that fascinating? I'm fascinated to see how this timeline, how this relationship with time progresses, no pun intended, over time. Because in the now, there's never a problem. So when do these problems exist? When do they come? When do they happen? I don't know. I'm curious to keep exploring this philosophical viewpoint on time and to see what happens. Anyway, so they're my thoughts for this week. They're my sharings. That's my insight for this week on Insights with Joe Pane. And I hope that you found this of some kind of value. Maybe you got some ideas. Maybe go for a drive-by and visit a friend from the street. Whatever it might be for you. But there's micro hope. There's always something to look forward to. Use your imagination. There's something to look forward to every day. Whether it's a meal, a coffee, a wine at night, a weekly thing that you're looking forward to, a Zoom call with a client, something. There's always something to look forward to, and we must remain connected with that sense of hope. And as I shared earlier, based on my definition of hope, which is having something to look forward to. So guys, thanks again for tuning in, and looking forward to continuing our journey. I'm really keen on the next episode, guys, which I guess will be episode 24. That's right. I'm pretty keen to move on from the theme of what I've covered here in the last 3 episodes, because I've covered stuff on my insights on Corona. Last week we spoke about emotional hygiene. This week I'm speaking about hope. I'm kind of ready to move on. Not in denial of the situation, but I would love to share with you other aspects of the human condition that are going to be a little bit lighter on. So anyway, happy to continue this journey with you as always. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy your morning, your afternoon, your evening, wherever you may be, and talk soon. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Much appreciated. Bye for now. I'm Joe Pane, and you've been listening to Insights, the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you're thoroughly loving the journey of these messages, please feel more than welcome to leave a review. And be sure to leave a comment on what you've been learning and how useful this has been to you, and how you've been sharing this with those around you. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'm looking forward to being with you again very soon in the next episode of Insights, the podcast.